Pile on, listeners. It's Barney, and I'm excited to bring to you a special episode with our friend Jarrett Payton. A few weeks back, we got to talking at a bar while watching the Bears-Raiders game, and he took some time to chat with us. We open up with his time at the U and the uphill battle he had, eventually leaving his mark against rival Florida State University in the 2004 Orange Bowl as he was crowned MVP. We go on to talk about his pops, the man, the myth, the legend, Walter Payton, as well as his takes on the 2021 Bears. From Fields to A-Rob to Nagy and our front office, stick around. You won't want to miss this. What's up, everybody? This is Barney with the Pile On. I'm joined by a good friend of the show, former NFL running back, 2004 Orange Bowl MVP with the U. He spent time playing in CFL as well as NFL Europe. This man has been running the rock all over the globe, but it all started in our backyard and quite possibly our new home, Arlington Heights with St. Viator, the son of sweetness himself, Jarrett Payton. Welcome to the show, pal.
What's up, bro, man? Appreciate the love, man. It makes me feel old when somebody's like, reading off everywhere that you've been. But yeah, you said it right, man. I've played football all over the globe, and now I get a chance now to be here in Chicago, WGN, and talk about my favorite team, which is the Chicago Bears.
Well, I gotta know, how does a kid who plays QB at the high school level earn himself a top 50 ranking in college recruiting, land himself in Miami to switch positions to running back, where you got to fight for playing time alongside Willis McGahee, Clinton Portis, Frank Gore, three absolute dogs, to eventually leave your mark as MVP in not only the Orange Bowl, but possibly one of the greatest college football rivalries we know. That doesn't make any sense to me. You got to explain yourself.
It doesn't make sense to me either, bro. I'm going to be honest with you. When I look back on it, I played soccer from when I was 4 years old up until my going into my junior year in high school, and never thought about playing the game of football. It wasn't even on my radar. It's not something that I want to do. I was so bored with playing soccer because it's all I did. And I played it all year long. And then next thing you know, it's funny because coming into my freshman year, I went overseas to play with my club team for like 3 weeks. And by the time that I got back, my dad picked up the phone at his office, and there was a couple of club teams that overseas saw me because we played in Amsterdam and Belgium. And they saw me and they wanted me to come back over. And they were talking at that time like 50, 60 grand. And I'm 14 years old. They're going to pay for my housing, give me a car. And I was like, nah, dude, I just want to be at home, Dad. And so I thought this was an opportunity for me to switch over and play, the game that my dad played and the game that he left his mark. And some of it was to be closer to him in our relationship. And we were always really close, but I thought the game would bring us closer of talking about it. Plus, it was something in my heart that I always knew that I kind of wanted to try. But, bro, I'm going to be honest with you. My offense was tailored to me. It was a sprint out offense. If I sprint out, look and see if I saw a pass. And if I didn't see anybody open, then take a run and just run with it. I played running back one time my senior year in high school as for a full game. Never had to block anybody in high school. None of that stuff. So I get to Miami and as an athlete, and they're like, yo, you're going to play running back. And next thing you know, they're like, you got to pick up blitzes to get the Mike or the Sam if they come, safety coming from the other side. And I'm just like, what? So most people don't know that I did not know much about the game when I went to the University of Miami. I was still at the beginning stages. And I would say that's when I really started to understand the game, because growing up, I just really had no love for it. So I just want people to give me my respect because I didn't really have a lot of experience and I was able to accomplish a lot. So everything kind of led up to that Orange Bowl game, which, man, to be able to beat Florida State twice in 1 year, I left my legacy, not just at the University of Miami, but also in one of the greatest rivalries in all college sports.
No doubt. I mean, you said it was a dogfight. That's an uphill climb to to, be in that committee and like you said, just learning the nuances of the position to eventually, that was your last game, right? That
Yeah, that
Orange
was
Bowl game
the Orange
in
Bowl game was
college.
in college, and then I was waiting because of how well that I played by the end of my last year, my 5th year at Miami, that people, as conversations at the Senior Bowl, I could have went there. I ended up going to the East-West Shrine game out west and ended up hurting my ankle while I was there. And I just didn't play as well. And my body was tired. My shoulder, which I find out later on after maybe 2 years later, I broke my collarbone in that first Miami Florida State game in Tallahassee. So I was playing with a lot of pain and dealing with a lot of pain, trying to manage it, and also just trying to stay focused on what was next because I didn't want to stop playing sports. So I didn't know if I was going to get drafted. There was talks that I could be a second day guy. Pittsburgh called me on that second day. It didn't happen. And I ended up going to Tennessee with Jeff Fisher. And I'll never forget, I was sitting there, I had like a watch party with I had like 60 people there. And I got that phone call and everybody was like super excited that the Steelers could pick me. They ended up taking some offensive linemen. But after, my phone started ringing off the hook. And the one call that I do get is from Clinton Portis. And he calls me, he's like, dude, come be with me. I was like, bro, I was sitting behind you at Miami for years. I am not coming there, bro. I'm not coming there. So Jeff Fisher gave me that call, and I just felt comfortable with Tennessee. And Chris Brown and I, coming from, being from the Chicagoland area, that relationship, and kind of all just made sense. So I'm very grateful and blessed to be able to just have an opportunity to get that opportunity in Tennessee. And still to this day, just have those lifelong friendships with all those guys.
That's what's up. I want to switch gears here, talk a little bit Bears football with you. But before we talk 2021, we got to do what Bears fans do best, and that's bring up 1985. All right.
Ooh.
Now, if the listeners out there are like me, I wasn't around in 1985. I was born in 92, so I never got to see the greatness, right? But we all know, the high step, the stiff arm, the sweet feet. He was the best to ever wear the orange and navy. But what was it about your pop's game that really was so special?
I think it probably was his ability to do everything on the football field. Pound for pound, he's the greatest football player that I've ever seen with my own two eyes. You can have debates about, I throw the quarterbacks out of it, like Tom Brady being the GOAT, all this stuff. Quarterbacks, man, yeah, they get hit here and there, but I'm talking about true athletes, bro.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was able to do everything. And it took me to, getting into my 30s to really understand and really break down his film and watch games and like real games, not just highlights, and seeing his ability to play every position. Like they need him at quarterback in '84 against the Packers. He was able to do that. He could throw a touchdown, pick up the blocks. He was really good in pass protection. He can run in between the tackles. He can get outside. You could also put him at wide receiver. He caught a lot of passes. It was his ability to do everything. To me, added on with the toughness and his availability on a day-to-day basis, only missing one game his rookie season and then playing the rest for, 12 years. I mean, we see it in the NFL now, man, at the position, just even this year, with Derrick Henry and all these other guys that are going out. They were missing – running backs miss 4 or 5 games a year now. And it was crazy because a couple of weeks ago, David Montgomery and I, we were at a high school here in Chicago, and we were having a conversation. I was asking him how he was doing, and he was, saying, I'm rehabbing, I'm feeling good, I'm getting back, and everything's good. And I brought it up. I was like, yo, it's crazy to think about that position and how demanding it is. I was like, man, to be able to only miss one game your rookie year like my pops did, you don't see that often. And his mouth dropped. He was like, what? Whoa, wait a minute. I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, bro. Like, my dad missed one game. He played the rest. For 12 years, he was there and available for whenever his team needed me. He played through, you know, broken collarbones and high ankle sprains and separated shoulders, all that stuff. And I think his toughness, his grit, his grind is what made him who he was. And to me, that was the GOAT, man. And when you look at when God made football player, man, I feel like he chiseled my dad out of stone and was like, here you go. Like, this is what you're supposed to be. And I think it was added on the off-field stuff and him giving back. And, now the NFL biggest award and the highest honor, Walter Payton Man of the Year award, is in his name. I mean, he didn't just do it on the field. He did it off the field as well. And to me, that speaks volumes to the person that he was. It also speaks volumes to his nickname, Sweetness. He was sweet on the field. He was also a sweet guy off the field, man. And he's my favorite football player to watch. And you can't tell me anything different. I've had these battles with everybody. Barry Sanders, not with Jim Brown, because Jim Brown's up there, but all those guys that are GOATs, man, like they all possess something in their game that was special. I believe that, man, Barry might be a better runner than my dad. Like he was a better runner. He's the best runner I've seen. You throw Gale Sayers in there. But when you look at everything and you stack it up, and it's crazy because I've been looking at a lot of baseball bats for my son, man. He plays travel baseball. He's 9 years old. And all these bats, they rate these bats by pop and stiffness and all this other stuff. And then they label it and give it a number. If you add all that up when it comes to running backs, yeah, man, my dad, he might not be the best at everything, but he's so high up in all the different categories. I think that's a big reason why he's looked at as one of the GOATs.
I feel like your dad is like from the scene from Friday Night Lights when Bowie Miles' dad's like, he's talking about how he can do everything and he ends with, and he can pass. And that's true. I mean, Walter had 10 touchdown passes that he threw. I mean, that's more than a lot of Chicago Bear quarterbacks can say. I mean, he really did do everything.
It's true, man. And it comes down to the love of the game. And my dad was a student of the game. And I don't think I really figured that out until I started getting recruited myself. My dad was sick at the time. So all these coaches were coming over to my house. And I think it was the day that Joe Paterno came to my house to sit down with my dad. And I'm sitting there and these dudes are talking about back in the 50s and 40s of football players. And I didn't know my dad was a historian as well. And so his love wasn't just on the game. It was the people that came before him. And I think he played a lot and wanted to be so available because he wanted people to be able to see him play. He knew that people were spending their hard-earned money to come see him on a Sunday, and they might not get an opportunity. Again, that's the only game. So he wanted them to be able to get that glimpse. But he also wanted to do it for the guys that came before him, and he wanted to lay the groundwork for the people that were coming after him as well. And so my dad was a Renaissance man, dude. He was very just smart up top, and you can really see it in the way that he played the game. It's probably one of the reasons why I think I was so crushed, and I'm crushed now still, that he wasn't able to get an NFL team in St. Louis, because I really think he would have been able to not only just be the first Black owner, but he would also get an opportunity to truly leave his impact on the game of football, not just with the Chicago Bears, but showing that he could build an organization as well. Because, man, he knew the ins and outs of all that stuff. And so, I think about that on a daily basis. My life would have changed if he would have got that team in St. Louis, but that's life as it is, man. It's changing every single day.
I didn't even know that was in the works and something that he wanted to do. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, man, it's pretty crazy. He was really, I mean, his team that he had, there were some holes in his team with some of the guys that he had, invested with, and it is what it is, man. Everything's not going to be perfect, but it's all that stuff becomes a part of your legacy. And a lot of people were hoping that he would be able to get it, and I really think that was one of the things that really crushed my dad and his spirit, especially late before he passed away, man. It was just one of those things he was looking forward to, and he never got a chance to do it.
I think he should have definitely had a second ring, especially in 1986. I still haven't forgiven Charles Martin for that hit he put on McMahon, because you guys were going, Walter was, I mean, he was running free that year just as much, and I don't know, just the Packers, they really grind my gears, man.
Hey, man, I get it. I understand that, but it's something that we got to look at as Bears fans. That's where we want to be. So yeah, it's tough. And, when it comes to that rivalry between the Packers and the Bears, it stings, especially, over my lifetime of being able to have Brett Favre and now Aaron Rodgers. It's tough, man. But we got to figure out a way to be able to get this organization back to that, where we're the talk of the town when it comes to the NFC North. That the NFC North runs through us and not Green Bay. And I don't know. Listen, that's probably a whole other conversation that we have to figure that out for the long run. But it's something that I think we all need to be thinking about as Bears fans. It's how we get to that point, because right now everything runs through Green Bay.
It's funny you say that the divisions run through Green Bay because, they had a Hall of Fame quarterback for the last 30 something years, right? But those days seem like they're numbered right now, and I'm an optimist, and I really like the QB we have under center these days. Let me hear your thoughts on Justin Fields.
Well, I've been a Justin Fields fan ever since he was in high school. It's just something about his demeanor, the way that he carries himself, the way that he approaches the game. And when I watched QB1 and saw him for that first time, I just knew there was something different about this kid, man. Like, nothing got underneath his skin. And so, in QB1, there's 3 quarterbacks. So you get like a different feel from each dude. There's like a cocky dude. There's another dude that's like grinding. And then there's one dude that's like, that's the it. Like, you just know, like, okay, that dude, he just looks different. And to me, that's what Justin was to me. And so I followed him and just watched him. This kid's got all the talent in the world. I don't know. I mean, the sky's the limit. And his ability to throw the deep ball straight out of college is phenomenal. I think over time, when you start to see how he's getting more and more comfortable with the game, that you're starting to see him and let his athleticism take over a little bit. And I just believe as time goes on, we're going to see him keep taking steps. And so I just, here in Chicago, it was like crazy. And I have a microphone because being on the air here and every single night, like, I can tell people like how I feel. Or if I hear people talking on the radio, I can call Waddle and Sylvie here in Chicago and be like, put me on the air. Like, I ain't talked to you. And I did it the other day. So I was listening to these people who are upset saying, oh, yeah, they should have let just Andy Dalton start. And I was like, no, dude, this kid needs these tough times. Mm-hmm. The reason why what you hope for as a GM and as an organization, that you're getting a dude that is not fragile, that is going to be able to like go through some tough times and grow. That's what he needs to do. You don't go to Ohio State. You don't go to Georgia if you're fragile like that, especially at the quarterback position. Like, you got to be a dog. You got to be a dude that's a gamer and a baller. This young man needs that. He needs to go through these times. And what we're seeing, and I think the last time that we saw him on the football field against the Steelers, is you saw in that fourth quarter what this young man is on. That's what he's made of. That's his makeup. And he gives you that ability. I've never seen someone so comfortable throwing to their opposite side. Like, he rolls to his left and throws dimes. Like, you don't see that, man. Like, as a rookie, that comfortable. And he's only going to keep getting better and better. And I think Justin feels it. He knows. He said it. He's like, bro, like, we're going to be where the Packers are, like, eventually. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the goal. And so if your leader is saying that, your franchise quarterback is saying that, and hopefully some of those other pieces in this organization get behind him and really put the resources behind him to make that actually going to happen, because he needs everything. He needs whatever Justin needs. They need to figure it out and get it for him, because he can be that guy. He can be what Aaron Rodgers is to Green Bay for the Chicago Bears for the next 10 to 15 years if they do it right.
Absolutely. And we got a little bit of good news coming out this last week. Larry Borum, a fifth round
Yeah,
tackle that Castillo had been telling everybody, like, I know you're excited about Jenkins, but be ready for this guy too. And he comes out after getting injured, and he has two great games against Nick Bosa and TJ Watt.
yeah,
You got Tevin Jenkins coming back to practice slowly but surely. Like, you got guys like David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert, Mooney. There's some pieces, but there's definitely got to be a focus on, hey, this is our guy. We need to put the pieces in place that's going to make him excited and just ready to attack. Because,
oh,
man, when you brought it up about Pittsburgh, when they scored, I think it was like that second to last field goal that Boswell put through the uprights. They were saying that Justin Fields just smiling on the sideline
yeah.
because he was like, you know what, like the lights don't phase me. This is my time to go down here and drive down for a touchdown. And dude, that was awesome from the start of that drive. And even the
Yeah,
next one, he did good. But the start of that drive, you just knew. I mean, this guy's got the it factor.
he does, man. He's got it, and nothing phases him. And I mean, it's really just solidifying that offensive line and making sure that that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Pace has really neglected that position since he's, been the GM here in Chicago, and he's got to figure it out. You can't piece it together, with Band-Aids or Scotch tape when you have a guy like
Right.
Justin Fields. And so they gotta figure out how to put those pieces around. Cole Kmet too, man, who's coming around, just really getting more and more involved in this Bears offense. They got pieces, young pieces that are so much fun to watch. And so I've been saying, like, my whole thing for the next second half of this season is that Justin Fields keeps getting better. And if he's getting better, that means that everybody else is playing better. That means Darnell Mooney is catching more passes. That means that they're running the football a little bit more, being effective, using the play action, doing all these things that they need to do. Like, everybody's eating, but Justin's playing well. And so it's going to be interesting to see how this second half plays itself out. And, if they got to stop this 4-game losing skid right now, that's first and foremost. And it's not going to be easy depending on what happens with Lamar Jackson, if he's going to be able to play. If he is, yeah, listen, that's what I want to see. I want to see them against great competition. And this defense has got to step up as well, because that's what we've seen over this last 4-game skid. Defense has been spiraling a little out of control a little bit, and especially late in games. They got to find a way to be able to piece it together. This Bears team, they need 4 quarters of football in all 3 phases. Like, not one here, one there. It's like They alternate. They got to be able to put it together, because that's what good teams do.
And I feel like a lot of that, has to do with belief in yourself. And at least, it's funny to say that, the last 2 games, I feel like we've been winning. I felt like the next day I woke up, I'm like, man, I feel like we just won that last game, even though we took an L. But, you can tell the guys, Charisma, Roquan Smith, everybody's taking it to heart. They want to play better. But, we're sitting here at 3-6, week 11. Is this sort of before the season where you kind of expected us to be?
Yeah, I kind of, I don't know. I had 7 or 8 wins for this ball club. I knew it was going to be difficult, and I knew that the stretch that they were going on the last 5 games, I knew it wasn't going to be easy, and they were going to have to find ways, and how you started the season wasn't going to be easy either. So, yeah, they're kind of where I thought they were. I mean, I never look at the guys on that roster and say they're not trying, because I know a lot of those guys. They're trying. It's not like they're not. It's just things just aren't working out the way that they had hoped. And I don't know, offensively has been probably the biggest question mark. But I knew eventually that the defense, like we saw even last year, late in the season, that they were going to start having issues, because, man, Spears defense, a lot of these guys have been a big part of, like, holding this thing together when the offense wasn't doing 3 and outs here, 3 and out there. And the next, defense is back on the field. They can only handle so much. And so, like, Matt Nagy, a lot of it's on him, because on the offensive side, because I mean that's what they brought him here for. They brought him here because they sold everybody that he was this offensive guru. But the numbers don't lie. And I think that's the hard part. And just having conversations with people when it comes to Matt and his future here in Chicago. Listen, I'm not saying that I'll never say you need to fire someone and get rid of someone. Listen, your record and everything that you do will speak for itself. That's how I feel. Like, it's not my money. You know what I mean? That's a decision that the McCaskies have to figure out. But in their head, they got to figure out, is this team closer to a Super Bowl right now than they were when Matt Nagy took over? And I think that's probably the hardest question, especially for Matt Nagy to answer, because for me, it's kind of easy. They're not. They're not anywhere closer to a Super Bowl. So that's what everybody's end goal is. I'm tired. I don't want to just go get to the first round of the playoffs. That's not it anymore. That's not, I'd rather not be there if that's the case. Like, you get to the play, you want to make a deep run. And where this team is right now, I don't know if they can, they're not set up to make a deep run. So I think the biggest hope is having the fact that Justin Fields is a Chicago Bear and that he keeps getting better as the season goes on, and that we see, the strides of this young man, and he keeps growing. And as he keeps growing, hopefully that means that, some of those tough decisions that need to be made are made a little bit easier for people, knowing that his performance and his greatness kind of depends on who's going to be that guy that's going to be coaching him.
Yeah, no, and one thing about Justin and Nagy dynamic that I love to watch is I feel like Justin's almost being a little bit defiant, in the best way possible, because Nagy had what 5, 6 quarterbacks he's had run his offense, and it didn't matter which quarterback it was, Trubisky, Foles, Dalton, Glennon, whatever, it always was the same game plan, short of the sticks. We're going to attack short of the sticks. Now we got a guy out there who we could tell that, there's a lot of hitches out there that are called, but Justin's waiting. Justin's looking for that down the seam. He's trying to pass the ball past 15 yards. And the offense has finally got a little bit of life, and that can't be just coincidence. It's Fields saying, "Hey, I'm a ball player. I'm going to do what I think I got to do to put points up on the board."
Oh, they got to. They got to find a way to do it because, looking at the numbers and the point averages for them, it's just not good. And not in this day and age of the NFL where, you're watching other games on Sunday and teams are always scoring at least 20 points, 21 points, and then in the 30s. I mean, that's where you're hoping to get to. And, I don't know. And it's tough because this defense isn't getting any younger. You're going to have to make decisions at the end of the season about, key members of, that defense as well. But I mean, when I look at it, honestly, it's like, other than Roquan Smith, I mean, I love Khalil Mack, but we're starting to see that too with Mack. Mack is a great player, man. He's one of those generation type players. But over time, man, it's just father time. The injuries keep piling up. And not only injuries pile up, but for Mack's played through a lot of injuries, man. It's not easy. So, that window that everybody thought was open in 19 about, winning a championship and like their championship window, I'm not sure where that window is right now because there's a lot of tough decisions that are going to have to be made after this season, which is going to change the dynamics of this organization. And I don't know. I think I keep going back to it. Justin Fields is the only thing that's giving me hope at this moment, just like that. There's actually a dude that's at the position, the most important position in all sports, that I believe in, that I think can actually get the job done.
Well, I got 2 questions for you, and then we'll wrap this up. All right.
Yep.
You just brought that up about 2019, our window. I think about the after the season, the final press conference that the McCaskies have, and when the year after we had Club Dub, right? We went 12-4, right? And then the next year we went 8-8, and George said, he was fired up, and he said, "We're going to find out this next year if we're that 8-8 team or we're that 12-4 team, and we're going to make some changes, alongside with whatever the result is." Then the next year we had basically a carbon copy of what we had, in that 8-8 season. We had a started off well. We had a losing streak. Then we climbed out of the losing streak. The only difference was we were in the playoffs this year only because they added that last, wild
Yeah.
card spot for us. Otherwise, it would have been the same story.
Yeah.
And we have the press conference this year, and they instilled no faith in me at that point. And I just want to know, you know, I know you're a good family friends with McCaskies. I'm not trying to put you in any hot water here, but as when it comes to George and Ted both saying that they're not really football guys, they're not. They don't want to make those decisions, and they want to leave it up to a guy that they trust. Do you think that is like that's responsible?
I'm going to answer your question. Listen, I'm going to answer your question. I'm going to keep it totally 100 with you. I love George. I love Ted. They are both amazing dudes, man. And yeah, they might not be football guys. I think the biggest thing for them and what I want to keep putting out there is that they have so many people that are close to them, that are connected, that have played for this organization, that are around. Even here in Chicago, if they don't know or don't understand of what should be or what needs to happen, there's no reason why they shouldn't maybe put together some type of board of like former players that are around to be able to help them kind of navigate through some of these situations and some of these hires and figure things out. Because I know there's a lot of people that would help. But it's tough after you look at back-to-back years of getting to the playoffs, right? I mean, it's what most people want, but it's just not where I feel like they actually really want to get to. And so, yeah, a lot of people were rubbed the wrong way a little bit with that press conference because they didn't really hear like that Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace's jobs were on the line. That's what people wanted to hear. They wanted to hear that. That's just not how George. That's not how George moves. That's not how George moves. So George's not going to fire someone in the middle of the season. That's not McCaskey's. They don't do it like that. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see. And I think you and I should have this conversation after the last 8 games, and let's see what happens. Do they end this losing streak, or does it even stretch even longer? Because I think that with everything going on in the city, and you're looking at the emergence of the Bulls right now, right? And they had to change a lot in that front office. Mm-hmm. And Karnisovas and Eversley, these guys have changed the dynamics now of bringing in guys. And so I think maybe that might push George and Ted to maybe make some decisions at the end of the year. But that's the one thing that I've always told people is like everybody else said that their jobs were on the line. Ted and George didn't say that. So I think in my heart, I think the end of the season and how it all kind of plays itself out, I think is going to have a lot of bearings on which direction the McCaskies go with their head coaching position, and also I think at GM.
Do you think that has a lot to do with what we did with, or what we are doing with A-Rob? Just because, for me, it's like he's Mr. Dependable. He's been the guy. I think you could basically say Justin Fields is the best quarterback he's ever had in his entire career, dating back all the way to college.
Yeah, definitely.
And we're not having the output. I don't know if that's more so we're not scheming for him or what, but for me, I got a soft spot for him because I'm like, I love this guy. He makes water. Why not a water, right? I mean, he plays so well, and I think we're kind of dogging him, and I don't like to see that.
That's a tough situation for A-Rob, man. He's been Mr. Dependable ever since he put on a Bears uniform, and a really good dude, loves the game of football. I think some of the kind of the inconsistencies that they've had with the relationship with Justin and him early on is just because of not getting enough time with one another. I think we're starting to see it a little bit more. I think that's something that we didn't see in the first half, but I'm hoping after that big throw to A-Rob in the Steelers game is the beginning of something in the second half of the season where we actually get a chance to really see, A-Rob and Justin really connect a little bit more, because he is, A-Rob's not like super fast, right? So a lot of his routes and everything, he's got people on him. So sometimes as a rookie quarterback, I feel like throwing it into those tight windows is something that Justin can do. but not always looking to do it right now because you don't want to force turnovers. And so with Mooney, it's a little bit different. A lot speedier, shiftier, can get in and out. It makes it easy to be able to find him because normally he got somebody maybe 2 yards behind him. He's leading them. So I just want to see if they can start scheming a little bit more. The routes that they run, these route trees, you just talked about it with the hitches and this and that, like these short routes that they want guys to take the distance. They had to be able to use this play action of the success right now, which is the running game. Running game has been the biggest success on the offense. They got to be able to use it. We're starting to see a little bit more, but I do want to see it even more with Bill Lazor opening it up a little bit, stretching this young man out and actually taking some shots down the field and open this thing up and keeping defenses honest because Justin's shown he can throw that ball. They just got to have more confidence. And I think in this second half, that's something I think that all Bears fans are going to have to keep their eye on.
Yeah, I'm optimistic, man. I think we're far from a finished product, but we got, like you said, we got a ball player at the most important position. And at the end of the day, as far as we haven't, like I said, we haven't won in a minute, but it's been a lot of fun these last couple of games watching him feel comfortable and feel like he deserves to be out there, and that not only deserves, but he's better. Yeah. And so I'm excited. This rest of the year is all about growth. 2022, let's get ready. I don't know what it's going to look like. The team might be completely different, but if we can develop him and surround him with players that they're going to make him succeed, and this division might run through the Bears.
Yes, sir. That's what we needed to do, man. That's what we got to get to. Like, I don't want to talk about playoffs. I want to be talking about when we can say that, listen, the division goes through Chicago, then we're in the right situation. Then we're exactly where we want to be as Bears fans and as got people that love this team, man. And so that's what I want. And I want to be in that conversation of being in. And there's no reason why the Bears shouldn't be. Man, we're one of the founding franchises in this league, man. We should be good all the time. We should be one of those franchises that's always contending for championships, always in the hunt. I think that's where, we have to find a way to get back to. And everybody wants to talk about the 80s and in 85, and rightfully so. We should talk about how great that team was. They were amazing. But I'm 40, going on 41 years old, man. Like, my son is 9 years old. I want him to see a championship. I want him to have that feeling. That's where I want to get back to. And it's only right for the Bears to hoist that Lombardi trophy again. And it needs to be soon. We got to get back there because it's something that I've been looking forward to ever since being in New Orleans back in 1985.
JP, I appreciate you jumping on with us, man. It's a real cool thing for you to do. Tell everyone how they can get in touch with you.
Man, just follow me on Twitter, man. IG at PaytonSun, PaytonSun. That's Facebook as well, man. We always alive. I'm always tweeting about Bears, especially during Bears games. So we're going to keep it funky and fresh. I'm always going to keep it honest. And, man, I appreciate you, man. Listen, keep doing what you're doing. Keep making strides. This is big right here. So anytime I get a chance to talk with Bears fans, they're like family to me. And, anytime that you need me, man, hit me up, man. We'll make it happen again. All right.
Awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate it. You can catch him on WGN regularly as well as GN Sports TV. Last time, JP, much appreciated, brother.
Appreciate you, man. Bear down.
Bear down.